Good morning and good afternoon to everyone who is joining us from Latin America and Europe, respectively, for the webinar number 20 of IURC Latin America and the final webinar. The webinar is aimed at discussing some of the lessons learned from the implementation of the city cooperation component of IURC Latin America. Before we begin, please feel free to write in the chat your name and where you're joining us from. Also, it's important to note that we have simultaneous translation in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Edgardo Sara. I'm the Deputy Team Leader of the International Urban and Regional Cooperation Program, or IURC Latin America, which is founded by the European Union. For those unfamiliar with the program, IURC main objective is to exchange best practices in urban development and regional innovation between Latin America and European cities and regions. In this regard, the program had two components, and today we want to share and discuss the work of some of the successful pairings in the city cooperation component, highlighting the main activities, results, and plans for the future. The goal of the webinar is also to hear about some of the success factors for the city-to-city cooperation and receive some feedback from the cities as the program reaches its end after 3 years of implementation. To lead the discussion, we are joined by 4 city officials who has been engaged in the cooperation process on a day-to-day basis. First, we have Alberto Ruiz from the Málaga City Council, who will share his insight on the work of a cluster involving the cities of Barranquilla and Cali in Colombia and Ancilacio in Italy. This cluster was a new form of organization for the program and work on urban regeneration and urban gardens. He will be followed by Aline Gonçalves, an advisor of the International Affairs Department of the City of Sao Paulo, who will present the result of their cooperation with Milan in Italy, which work on urban regeneration, especially on a post-industrial context, and had also the participation and a very important stakeholder, the Politecnico di Milano. Thirdly, we have Paulo, who is the head of international relations for Puerto Montt in Chile. He will share his experience working with Piraeus in Greece and the establishment of a blue economy cluster. Finally, we are glad to have Annika Dahlen, Gender Equality Officer from Umeå in Sweden, who worked with the city of Punta Arena in Chile. And she will share with us her experience in bringing into the agenda gender equity for the design of public spaces, while also having the unique perspective of working with 2 different geographical areas, such as Latin America and Asia. Again, for those who are just joining us now, we have, it's important to remember, we have simultaneous translation in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. You can find the translation at the bottom of your screen. And please feel free to write any questions you may have to the panelists in the Q&A section or the chat, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the presentations. Finally, at the end of the session, we'll have a short survey to receive your feedback about this final webinar. So, having said that, Alberto, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Edgardo. I'm going to share my screen. It's okay?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity to let us share this interesting cooperation that we have done with Cali, because we are, well, our city, Malaga, has participated in the IURC program with the city of Cali, but within in a cluster, like Edgardo said, with the other 2 cities, that was Barranquilla and Rome. So let me show, this is a very schematic way line about our cooperation. But why did we create a cluster? The main topic of our pairing with Cali, with our city, was the urban regeneration in two border neighborhoods of a tourist area of both cities. The neighborhood of San Antonio in Cali and the neighborhood of Lagunillas in Malaga. We have worked in a sustainable urban development strategy for vulnerable neighborhoods with serious problems of social cohesion, like Lagunillas, in order to improve the quality of the life of its inhabitants. So we start with different technical sessions about urban renewal, and but within these neighborhoods we have the chance with the IURC program, that is the program before the IURC, to implement an urban garden in Lagunillas, in our neighborhood, with involvement of the local association for a social integration with children and adults. And Cali, our parent city, has an interesting, very urban garden initiative called Plan Jarillón for eliminate the informal settlements and for the social integration through the urban gardens. So we were very interested in share our topic about social depression neighborhoods with the topic of the urban garden, that is the topic of Rome and Barranquilla. So they were developing an urban poverty and sustainable agriculture in urban gardens. And Rome has a long experience in the management of urban gardens with the local communities. So we propose to cooperate all together in a cluster. That's the reason, because we join in this cluster. Okay, so we have different technical sessions about urban agriculture, urban renewal, and green infrastructure, with the different study visits to Europe before, and to America, to Latin America after. So you got, and you can see all the events that were organized by the IURC organization to share and to know more about these topics. What lesson have we learned? Okay, but the main lesson is that the first one is that you don't work alone. You have, in spite we have different contexts, we have very similar problems like in civil servants. So it's it demonstrates that you are not alone in this war, in this with your problem. The second one is the long-term planning is the key, because like the urban agenda in Malaga or the Plan Jarillón de Cali. The third one is that we have to embrace positive externalities. For example, here we have the gardenizer, that is particular way to manage the urban garden in Rome, or for example, the public company Siembra in Barranquilla, and involve the communities from the start. That is very important. You can see, like, for example, the campaign Todos al Parque in Barranquilla. Other lesson has to improve the local technical capacity. That's very important. To have a very strong political leadership, and share what you are doing. And for us, it was very important to set an example, a pilot project to throw the action. So you can see here this urban garden in Jarillón in Cali, and our urban garden in Lagunillas. because you can experiment what you want to do, and this is bringing you the possibility to scale up the projects. So what benefits we achieve? The first one is provides a collaboration between cities to address common challenges in the urban development. The program promotes a reflexive analysis of your own strategy. You can think out the box. That is not easy for your diary work. Strengthen the capacities of the local authorities and innovates in the management of different processes. The spirit of some cities helps other cities to develop new management tools, and this is very important for us. Multiply effect on the urban policies. In our case, we are incorporating to the urban infrastructure, the green infrastructure to the urban regeneration strategy as an element of social integration and improving the health of citizens. And this is our experience we have learned from other cities like Rome or like Cali. It permits test new innovative solutions, gives the opportunity to share your knowledge, builds a lasting partnership among the cities, open your city to an international relationship and enhance your international profile, that is obvious, and stimulates and encourages to face new challenges. This is, in our case, is very, very strong because when you see what are doing cities like Barranquilla or Rome in different ways with different budgets or different ways to management the projects, this is encourage you to open to new projects and new ways to address your challenge. So about the corporate beyond the IURC, well, I explained different projects that born with the IURC cooperation, but are different projects for the European Union. So the last one is the project Generator. That's a community gardens for good governance, active citizenship, and participation that was born from the dialogue between Rome and Barranquilla within the IURC programs. And thanks to these projects, among the various training and capacity building activities, planning for creation of 4 communities garden in the urban area of Barranquilla. And it's like a tool for good administration, active citizenship, and participation supported by training intervention in Rome. So this is a very interesting project that are developing Barranquilla and Rome. The second one is Ventana Adelante. That is an initiative that includes the transfer of experience and good practice between the cities of Barranquilla, Santo Domingo, and Málaga, and different agencies, public agencies, in order to advise and provide technical resource to the city of Barranquilla to strengthen its recovery program of the historic center with a sustainable urban strategy. We have ended this program, but I know that Barranquilla has now a strategy for historic center as a result of this project. The third one is the future cooperation between Málaga and Bogotá. because we have the opportunity to learn about the cultural district projects being developed by the Secretary of Cultura of Bogotá, that they call Bronx Bogotá. This project has many similarities with Soho Málaga, that is art district, urban art district in Málaga, which won the URBAC Award for good practices. So using the culture as a engine for development, for the urban regeneration. And the fourth one is future projects with Rome in the field of the environmental tools, urban tools. Okay. So what are our new steps in the future to develop this cooperation? Well, I have I think 3 blocks. The first one is to expanding the urban agriculture initiatives and communities. Just using the management system of Rome, because they have a very long experience in this field. Using our indicator system for green infrastructure with the Malaga model, the urban agenda of Malaga, and incorporating social regeneration into this urban garden with the Cali model of Harry-John plan. Well, the second block is a green infrastructure network with the confluence between parks and urban gardens that Barranquilla are developing now. Study the head island and climate shelters, new green management models adapted to climate change, and the natural water purification mechanisms that we are studying with Rome and with the Euro-Mediterranean Center for the Sustainable Development in Ragusa to apply to an next-met project from European Union. And the last one is our main topic in Malaga, that's urban renewal. So we continue to management and recovery public spaces with our experience, the regulation of the use of public space, the development of cultural districts like this future cooperation with Bogotá, the impact of tourism on historical center in Malaga and in Santo Domingo. We have future agreement with Santo Domingo to study this problem. And the last one is with Ancona, that we know within the IURC program. And we apply to a city-to-city cooperation with the topic of the port city integration and the blue economy. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberto, for that excellent presentation. And some of the takeaways I get is that you mentioned that you are not alone in programs like IURC, and these programs can help you to think outside the box. So I think it's great to hear that we helped you to think outside the box, help you connect with other cities. Impressive to see all the cities that you have been working on outside your cluster, Ancona and Bogotá, which is a city outside the IURC network. Also that IURC help you as a platform to share knowledge and give visibility to the work you are doing. And was very impressed by the different programs that you've been able to apply, and they will help you continue the work beyond IURC. So we are really confident that the work of the cluster and the work of Malaga will continue, and you will be very active in the future. I have a quick question. If you can please comment before we move to the next presentation, if you can quickly comment on the differences between working in a pairing and working in a cluster, because the working in a cluster in a group of cities was something that we different from the IURC program than previous editions. So you can quickly comment on some of the advantages and even some of the negatives. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I think in urban policies, all the topics are connected, and the advantage to be a cluster is that we can multiply the effects in the same action. So, for example, if the example of the urban garden, you can implement an urban garden like a new green infrastructure for the local community. But if you coordinate with social programs like a social cohesion tool, and you implement with the schools like for environmental education for the scholar, and when you receive different inputs from other cities that are working in different fields with the same in the same infrastructure like an urban garden, you can do millions of different policies. So I think it's the best advantages is to multiply the effects.
Great, thank you. Yes, having worked with several cities on the same topic at the same time, I can definitely see the advantages in that sense. So next, we have the presentation of Aline Gonçalves. She works for the International Relations Department of the city of São Paulo. Aline, the floor is yours.
Olá, bom dia a todos, boa tarde. Deixa só eu voltar aqui nos slides. Bom, eu vou falar em português para facilitar a confusão de inglês e espanhol. Então, boa tarde para todo mundo. Eu sou a Aline, que trabalho na cidade de São Paulo, na Secretaria de Relações Internacionais. Fui selecionada pelo pessoal do IURC. Obrigada pelo convite para apresentar a cooperação de São Paulo e Milão. Bom, dentro do projeto, São Paulo e Milão escolheram a área de cooperação de regeneração urbana. Especificamente, a utilização desses espaços industriais, esses complexos industriais que a gente tem aqui nas nossas cidades, em locais muito centrais e estratégicos, que estão sendo não utilizados e com um potencial muito grande de utilização. Claro que, a partir dessa perspectiva, utilizando as agendas sustentáveis, soluções baseadas na natureza, uma perspectiva também do uso da água, de potencialidades de toda essa temática. Trazendo um pouco de contexto, como o Edgardo já mencionou, esse pareamento ele não vem do nada. São Paulo e Milão são cidades irmãs há 61 anos e é um marco histórico para as duas cidades, porque foi o primeiro hermanamento das duas, então foram as primeiras irmãs. Então, apesar da gente já cooperar há 60 anos em diversas áreas, como cultura, como moda, música, e ultimamente uma cooperação muito forte em línguas estrangeiras, aprendendo italiano aqui na cidade de São Paulo, a área de desenvolvimento urbano foi algo que foi escolhido até também para sair um pouco dessas temáticas já trabalhadas entre as duas cidades. Como a gente tem um tempo curto, a gente os destaques que a gente tira dessa cooperação, especialmente as visitas bilaterais, as visitas técnicas, elas são muito importantes porque para conhecer a política pública, a gente conhecer os contextos em que as duas cidades se colocam, em pensar esses espaços urbanos, esses complexos industriais, como é visto pela própria prefeitura, como pela população. Então, foram visitas muito produtivas, com diversas surpresas entre as duas delegações, né, tanto para São Paulo quanto para Milão, de conhecer na prática como funciona. Algumas outras políticas públicas, para além da cooperação, também foram conhecidas e que, né, plantam uma semente para a gente poder pensar em outras futuras cooperações, né, como a gente vai ver mais para frente. Essa troca de benefícios, de troca de políticas públicas de sucesso, como implementar, isso foi muito importante, é uma das coisas que a gente sempre destaca quando fala dessa cooperação. O engajamento nos webinários, nos seminários, nos congressos, que foram proporcionados pelo programa, não só nas temáticas em que a gente trabalhava, mas também em outras, como resíduos sólidos, como habitação, agora nesse ano no México. Então, para além das temáticas escolhidas, a gente pode também trocar sobre outras temáticas e que a gente espera que no futuro a gente consiga potencializar ou continuar, né, cooperando. As reuniões bilaterais temáticas, bilaterais técnicas, foram essenciais para a gente poder se aproximar e conseguir desdobrar um pouco das complexidades das duas cidades no enfrentamento dessa temática. Então, um dos principais produtos que saíram dessas diversas reuniões bilaterais foram um estudo comparativo, né, que a gente tem aqui, tem aí no site do IURC, que foi importante e foi um sucesso, assim, a gente conseguir comparar tudo que a gente São Paulo estava pensando em fazer para reativar esses espaços industriais, e o que Milão já vem fazendo. Foi uma das coisas principais, assim, nosso projeto aqui em São Paulo para revitalizar a área da região do Brás, especificamente o complexo do gasômetro da Casa das Retortas. Ele foi montado muito a partir desse estudo que a gente construiu. Então, o projeto já foi realizado, já foi feito, já foi apresentado para a gestão, para o prefeito e para toda a gestão municipal. Foi todo construído a partir do estudo comparativo e dos guias também, do guia comparativo que a gente fez, que também pode ser utilizado para outras cidades, com diversos pontos importantes de como pensar essas áreas através das perspectivas sustentáveis, inclusivas, sociais. E então isso já é um marco aqui para a nossa cidade de como essa cooperação ela foi muito importante. Lições aprendidas foram muitas, mas aqui eu vou passar um pouco por cima de todas. Mas com Milão a gente conseguiu entender e também fazer com que na apresentação do projeto a gente pudesse destacar aqui, né, ali no ponto 3, que é a preservação desse patrimônio histórico, porque esses complexos industriais, na maioria das vezes, possuem um papel muito importante dentro da cidade. Aqui em São Paulo, esse complexo que a gente quer fazer, um projeto âncora, né, um projeto inicial, ele tem um papel importante na história da cidade e também do Brasil, porque São Paulo é um polo econômico muito, muito forte aqui do território brasileiro. Então, ao mesmo tempo em que a gente pensa em manter esse patrimônio, contar a história dessa região, da participação importante econômica, porque foi uma planta industrial de produção de energia, que produzia energia para a cidade inteira, como que a gente utiliza isso, entendendo o novo contexto da cidade, como que essa região hoje se projeta e se desenvolve. Então, essa região é um polo econômico muito forte. Então, como a gente preserva e como que a gente traz novos elementos. Então, para além da questão da economia criativa e sustentável, né, trazendo um pouco da temática do artesanato, do comércio local da região, que é muito forte no tecido, muito forte na madeira, muito forte na gastronomia, como que a gente traz tudo isso para dentro desse projeto. E Milão fez isso muito bem, de engajar vários setores dentro de uma região importante, revitalizando, trazendo uma nova vida para aquele espaço. Então, para a gente foi muito importante, inclusive para conseguir convencer os tomadores de decisão, né, porque a gente aqui está muito no nível técnico, conseguir convencer que só museu talvez seja mais difícil de você engajar a população, né? E, ao mesmo tempo, que enfatizando a questão da participação popular, né? O que os moradores da região querem para aquele local, como eles se veem se apropriando disso, o que eles acham que faz sentido, né? Então, o engajamento público também foi muito importante, e a gente aprendeu como fazer isso da melhor forma, como engajar, como trazer todas as opiniões e montar um projeto que faça sentido para aquela região que vai ocupar, que vai participar das atividades daquele espaço. Um outro ponto importante, São Paulo, 12 milhões de pessoas, são mais de 30 secretarias espalhadas pela cidade inteira, então uma coisa importante do projeto também para a gente foi nos conectar mais com os outros departamentos, as outras secretarias. Então, a gente conseguiu ativar pontos focais para pensar o projeto, para estar dentro da cooperação internacional, entender a importância de... Foram 4 departamentos, assim, então, apesar de a gente conviver todos os dias, mas, pelo menos eu como técnica de relações internacionais, algumas secretarias mais tradicionais, às vezes não entendem poder da cooperação internacional, então a gente trazer, olha o que o projeto pode nos proporcionar, olha a quantidade de políticas públicas as outras cidades, as outras regiões do mundo inteiro estão fazendo, que a gente pode se apropriar. Então, até nos webinários e nas visitas técnicas, nos congressos, a gente também pôde levar diversas secretarias a estar participando ativamente e sentindo tudo que a cooperação internacional pode trazer de benefícios, então isso foi muito importante. E dentro dessas lições todas, né, o programa do IURC ele é crucial, porque ele conseguiu trazer todas essas cidades juntas, e aí eu digo que apesar de São Paulo e Milão cooperar há muitos anos, o programa ele impulsionou ainda mais, conseguiu trazer gente mais próximos, dialogar com outros temas, então a gente teve diversos pequenos projetos que foram surgindo durante diversas conversas, diversos webinários, encontros em congressos que a gente estava um pouco adormecido, digamos assim. Então a gente pôde, o IURC nos colocando junto de novo em diversas ações, possibilitou a gente cooperar para além do que já estava programado para esses 2 anos de cooperação. O projeto também, o que o projeto nos proporciona também na questão econômica é muito importante destacar, porque a gente sabe que os recursos das cidades eles são muito limitados, é sempre uma briga em temáticas mais cruciais, como saúde, educação, pelo menos no Brasil, boa parte dos recursos são muito direcionados para isso, então é difícil, às vezes, você convencer as lideranças, os tomadores de decisões, da importância de você fazer uma visita técnica, seja em Milão, seja em outras cidades, para você conseguir pensar fora da caixa a política pública. Então, o projeto ele vem e proporciona isso para essas trocas, ajuda muito, e, com certeza, sem essas visitas técnicas, muitas coisas não iriam sair da forma que saíram nesses 2 anos. Então, destacar que foi fundamental esse apoio financeiro para fazer essas trocas de cooperação. Bom, pensando um pouco no futuro e no que a gente pensa com o projeto, a gente, com certeza, São Paulo e Milão vão continuar cooperando, já é uma interação profunda, mas especificamente nesse projeto que a gente desenvolveu na Casa das Retortas, ela já saiu do papel, ela foi apresentada acho que no início desse ano, se eu não estou enganada, para a gestão, já está muito próximo de sair todas as partes burocráticas de autorização, de implementação do projeto. Além disso, agora, recentemente, na COP28, a gente teve uma sinalização do governo federal de um financiamento de 1,4 bilhões para a utilização de um VLT nessa região, que estava projetado nesse projeto que a gente apresentou, de fazer com que um transporte sustentável dentro da região, que a gente não pode fazer toda essa ativação desse espaço incrível, com várias coisas, e a população não conseguir chegar, né? Então já mais uma sinalização de que o projeto faz sentido, que vai ter um papel importante. Então a gente está trabalhando na prefeitura para que esse projeto saia o mais rápido possível, porque no Brasil no ano que vem começam eleições municipais, então a gente sabe como que muda tudo se altera, então projetos a gente também corre para entregar, para fazer com que ele seja, né, finalizado. Para além do desenvolvimento urbano sustentável, a gente também quer continuar cooperando em outras temáticas, e essas práticas, esses momentos que a gente teve no programa, com certeza nos trouxeram muitos pontos a trabalhar agora para o próximo ano. Então fica, não sei se tem uns colegas aí de Milão, da gente não perder, mesmo o programa se encerrando, a gente não perder esse timing e essas oportunidades que a gente teve de continuar trabalhando. Mas eu acho que é isso, assim, a gente fica muito triste de o programa ter acabado, mas com certeza o que foi plantado daqui vai continuar florescendo, acho que tanto para a cidade de São Paulo e Milão, mas com as outras cidades que a gente teve a oportunidade de contatar, de estar perto durante esses 2 anos. E obrigada, agradeço o tempo aí, espero não ter passado muito, aguardando as perguntas.
Thank you, Aline, for your amazing presentation and highlighting some of the work that Sao Paulo and Milan have achieved. I just wanted to highlight the support that IURC provided in the terms for producing the comparative studies on the different takeaways that both cities produce. Writing and producing these knowledge-based outputs requires the collaboration and time from the cities. So I just want to also highlight the effort and tight commitment of both cities in helping us producing these outputs. So I just want to congratulate the effort of technical teams in both cities. And that connects to my other point. You also mentioned how the program helped you involve and engage different departments across the municipalities. So working on the technical documents, comparative studies required a joint effort with different departments, different areas. So just also want to congratulate the cities for being able to involve different departments and also stakeholders like universities and the role of the Politecnico di Milano. And another point you mentioned is with Alberto, that the program helped you to think outside the box. Especially it helped you see all the different policies from other cities or regions, also from the program, and that helped you to see those policies and bring them back and adapt them to your local context and implement them. So also, we are glad to hear that you were able to see that, and that the Brass Area project will continue, and looking forward to what the results will be. We are falling a little bit short on time. I will get back to you at the end of the presentation to ask you a little bit, because you mentioned that you have worked with Milan for 60 years. So I just want to ask you what was different about the program, but I will get back to you with that question at the end of the presentation. So thank you, Aline. And now we have Pablo Yáñez, who is the head of International Relations Department of the city of Puerto Montt, which has been working with the city of Piraeus in Greece. So, Pablo, the floor is yours.
Let me share my screen. Can you see it? Everything? Okay. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, everyone. I'm going to talk today about the Puerto Montt Piraeus cooperation, some of the main lessons we learned, and the best practices that we were able to introduce, both during the cooperation and now that we are sadly ending it. Hopefully, we can look forward to continuing some of these best practices. As Edgardo already said, I'm Pablo Yanez. I'm a sociologist by trade, and I'm the International Relations Officer for the municipality of Puerto Montt. This all started back in 2021-20 when we applied, and these were the preliminary themes of interest. This was shared from the IURC website. As we can see, in Chile, we also participated alongside Punta Arenas and the Magallanes region, who were in a webinar a couple of weeks ago. And as you can see, a lot of the topics in both Punta Arenas and Puerto Montt are similar in regards to nature-based solutions and the urban agenda and tourism, for example, which you will see we also did. This is because we, in the south of Chile, we have a very important opportunity to work with ecosystemic services, urban planning in a region which is not completely urbanized, but which has a lot of places like wetlands, forested areas, hills, green hills. So both Puerto Montt and Punta Arenas and the south of Chile in general is a place of a natural beauty, of tourism, of a lot of tourism in the summer months because we have a cool, nice weather. So all of this was introduced and included in our program. I'm going to talk directly now about what was our visits. During September of last year, the delegation from Piraeus came to our city. As you can see, we recognized our coastal rim. We share with Piraeus being located in important port and coastal areas. We also went to see wetlands with the local indigenous peoples, which was an important experience for, this is the mayor of Piraeus, Mr. Yanis Morales, because they don't have indigenous peoples in the way that we have them here in the South, in South America. So it was very impressive for them. In fact, they continue, we have continued in communication, and they continue asking about the indigenous peoples. How are the indigenous groups that we met? Because it was very impressive for them, and they have always been very keen on continuing a collaboration and hopefully maybe getting some finance from European Union projects which aid these indigenous peoples, because it was something very important to them. We did a seminar in which we talked about the blue economy measures and the nature-based solutions. It was a very productive visit. Then we also went to Piraeus, and as you can see, we did the similar boat trip. Our cities have the similar coastal vocation, coastal economies. So there was a lot to learn from that. This is the port of Piraeus, which is one of the most important of the Mediterranean. And this is Jorge, which I saw him in Connected. He was the project officer, an incredibly important individual in our cooperation. So I just want to thank him. I will do it in the end. We have a thank you for all. But we continue talking about the blue economy and nature-based solutions, which were the two main topics in our collaboration, and which in the end became almost the same topic, because the blue economy won't happen without taking into account these nature-based solutions, which are already existing in both cities. So when we talk about nature-based solutions, this is taking from our takeaway fact sheet. We recognize what we both have been doing in regard to nature-based solutions. Piraeus is working a lot with public health, with measuring public health in regards to including a reforestation of urban spaces, of introducing already existing species which have been, of course, decreasing because of the urban sprawl of Piraeus. And we have also been working on strengthening our network of wetlands, of forested areas, because we both of us, Piraeus and Puerto Montt, understood that we share in common that we believe that nature-based solutions are not only urban solutions, but they are also public health solutions. So this is very important. And we also share another thing, participatory planning. When we talk about public health and well-being, we cannot do it without participatory planning. So this was very also interesting to share ideas about stakeholders engagement, how we did it here in Puerto Montt, how Piraeus has been doing it during all these years. So it was very interesting for us to show what we already do, but also learn from our partners. And then we started talking almost exclusively about the Blue Economy Cluster. What is a Blue Economy Cluster? It's a network of collaboration in regards to a sustainable economy based on maritime and sea coastal resources, which we both have in common. As you can see, us in Puerto Montt, our experience working on the blue economy concepts with Piraeus allowed us to include them also in our planning instruments, in regulatory and physical land use planning, in strategic planning. This is the PLADECO, is the strategic development planning for the city, investment planning. And so we have already included these blue economy ideas in our own planning, and this wouldn't have been possible without a participation and the collaboration that we have had with our Piraeus partners. This is a newly inaugurated coastal promenade, which we hope to manage, taking into account these coastal blue economy ideas, in which the community benefits economically from the coastal experience. Then we also have innovation and research. We included the San Sebastian University and other universities during the Piraeus visit. They participated in the seminar that we made, and we are trying to create a program, an avenue for students in maritime and coastal economy professional ventures to be able to maybe do an exchange program in Piraeus. This has always been proposed by Piraeus. The mayor of Piraeus sees education as an important avenue to enhance the international profile of Piraeus also. So it is something that we will continue talking with the technical team of Piraeus, because it would be great for students from Piraeus to be able to come here and study, and students from Puerto Montt to be able to study in Piraeus, mostly in regards to coastal activities, because Blue Growth Piraeus is a very interesting entrepreneurial and innovation research program, which we believe could also be applied here in Puerto Montt. So we will continue working on this possibility. Then we also have tourism and local culture. Tourism in Puerto Montt is an important industry. It's not completely developed as it is in Piraeus, which is unbelievably well developed in tourism. They invited us to participate in the Piraeus Taste Festival, which occurred this year. We couldn't make it because of issues we had, but the opportunity to continue participating in this gastronomic fair, which they have, is present. We will try to make it in 2024. And it also shows how you can make an interesting contribution to sustainable economy in regard to coastal resources. Both Piraeus and Puerto Montt share a gastronomy which is strongly based on maritime resources, on shellfish, on different types of fish preparation. They, of course, have their specialities like octopus, and we have our specialities like salmon, but both of them need to take into account a sustainable future in regards to maritime resources. So this is important. And of course, as I already said, this is the Piraeus delegation with the ancestral leaders of the indigenous peoples here in Puerto Montt. They were so impressed by the indigenous people's contribution to our culture and our sustainable future pathway, that we will try to also apply to European Union funds in making wetland with indigenous knowledge-based tourism. This is something that has also been in the books, and we are continuing to talk about it with the Piraeus delegation. So we are also showing some avenues of continuing collaboration with Piraeus. Last but not least, which was probably the thing where we most have in common, are the port and logistic activities. Piraeus has a port which is operated by COSCO Shipping, which is one of the most important Navy maritime industry port activities from China. And we are trying to get across technical capacitation venture with Empormont, which is the local portual enterprise here in Puerto Montt. And so they can get knowledge from COSCO. We will try to make a meeting, a virtual meeting among leaders of the industry in COSCO and Piraeus with Puerto Montt, because we believe there are also things that we can talk about. Cruise industry, there are cruises which start in the Mediterranean and then come to South America. So there's a lot of things that we can continue collaborating. We are trying to upgrade our cruise terminal, and the Piraeus team has also offered the possibility for technical contribution in this upgrading process that we are now on. This is a render of the idea for upgrading the cruise port here in Puerto Montt. And now talking about the main lessons, not only about best practices, which we hope to continue with Puerto Montt, but also main lessons about international collaboration, per se. It has allowed both cities to enhance know-how among the technical teams, showing glimpses of reality which would be completely impossible, not only difficult to access, but they will be very difficult to access if not for this program. And for this, I want to thank Edgardo and Trisha and Aurelie and the whole IURC team, because it would have been impossible for us as a municipality to get to know the technical reality of Piraeus and of other European cities and Latin American cities with which we communicated in different sessions and international events and fairs. So without this collaboration, we wouldn't have able to get to know these realities. It enhances the international profile of our cities, and it also forces an assessment on the strengths and gaps of each territory. This is something that I'm going to tell an anecdote. The Piraeus delegation, when they came here, they were so impressed by our gastronomy and our local cuisine that we said to ourselves, we need to enhance and fund a better project of, and we are now doing it. It's called the Port Flavors, Sabores del Puerto, the flavors of the port, because we are understanding that the gastronomy and the culinary industry of Puerto Montt is probably one of the main tourist possibilities that we have. And because Piraeus, Anastasia, she said she had never eaten better food than Puerto Montt. I know it's kind words. Probably everyone says that everywhere, but it allows us to understand it. And you say, oh, really? That's something that if someone from the other side of the world doesn't tell you, maybe you don't even assess the potential and your strength. And in regards to gap, and we have obvious gaps in financing projects, we were able to understand that finance is available in the international context, and so is the possibility to access technical capacities and better technical know-how. What we are mostly lacking, and this is so interesting to be able to, as has already been mentioned in the other presentations, the possibility to think outside the box. because we are lacking in innovative governance models, which include the possibilities for collaboration and the need for radical collaboration. And this is also very important for us. It has allowed cities and us in Puerto Montt to upscale our participation in sustainable development networks. Thanks to our participation in the IURC program, we later also entered the Global Covenant of Majors and the Urban Transitions Mission, which is directly derived from being able to participate in this pairing. So this is something that also has opened our doors for other networks, other city networks, and other possibilities for collaboration, technical know-how, and international finance. So this is something that we are very grateful, and we also wanted to mention it here. And I wanted to take my time to, now that we are ending this, to thank everyone who was part of the project, both on Puerto Montt side, which I believe Daniel Reyes is present. Daniel Reyes, the leader of the urban development and planning department. He has been instrumental and the leader of this collaboration. I'm only the spokesperson, but the leader has been Daniel Reyes. Also, the technical team of Daniel Reyes, in particular Hector Altamirano, but his whole team has been unbelievable, important in this collaboration. And on the side of Piraeus, Anastasia Serva, who has been absolutely relevant, her participation. Policleida, Dimitri Sirianos, and Nikos Chatsi Hanilit, a last name which is very difficult for me to pronounce. But they have been very, very important in this collaboration. And I wanted to take my time of thanking them all, because in reality, the technical teams which we have been in constant communication has been the bedrock on which this project has been founded. And of course, Jorge Leonel Rivas has been instrumental. He has always talking to us, reminding us of the projects that the products that we need to deliver, the takeaway fact sheet, the case study. He has been instrumental. He was instrumental. So I know he's around. I wanted to thank him publicly because he has been absolutely unbelievable, his job. And to Jorge, Edgardo, Aurelie, Trisha, Aimee, everyone in the IURC team, really, we will be enormously grateful and eternally grateful. So without further ado, gracias, thank you, and efharisto.
Thank you, Pablo, for your presentation. I'm not sure about Anastasia's comment about the best food in the world, but I'll invite everyone who is here to visit the beautiful lakes region of Chile. You will not be disappointed. It's one of the most beautiful places in Latin America. A few comments just very briefly, because we are running late, and just want to also allow for some time at the end. Just want to emphasize that you mentioned that IURC helped you to improve the technical capacity and radical innovation, that it forces you to have an internal assessment of what are the strengths and weaknesses of your own territory and your own city. That's we never thought about that, how the big of an impact in that sense could the program have. Then I just want to highlight how the cooperation with Piraeus teach you about the blue economy concepts, and now how you are including those new concepts into your own planning instruments. So really also want to congratulate you on that, and hopefully the project with attracting the new cruise industry with sustainability standards materializes in the near future. So also we want to congratulate you for all your efforts. I know the pairing of Piraeus and Puerto Montt has been one of the most active, and also want to congratulate Jorge Leonel for his very intensive and professional work. Finally, and Waldo is here too. Yes, thank you, Waldo, for all the work.
Yes, I forgot Waldo. I want to mention Waldo also. I forgot him. Thank you, Waldo.
Positive energy to the work. So thank you, Waldo, for all your great energy and collaboration and contributions to the work with the Chileans and Argentinian parents. Finally, we have Annika Dahlen, Gender Equality Officer from Umeå in Sweden, who will present the work that they've been doing with Punta Arenas also in Chile. So Annika, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'll just share my screen 1 second. There we go. You should see it now, I guess. I know we are kind of running out of time, so I'll try to move kind of quickly and not extend too much. I represent the city of Umeå, which is in the north of Sweden. This is a photo from our study visit in Umeå, where our friends from Punta Arenas came to visit us. This is a bicycle bar, and this person here to the left is the famous Waldo that was just mentioned. Fantastic pairing coordinator. So this is our pairing. We're almost outside of the map. We're really, it was kind of as far as possible as we could go. Punta Arenas is in the very south of Chile, and Umeå is in the very north, not the very north, but fairly far north of Sweden. And we're both cities of 130,000 inhabitants in the north and in the south of our respective countries, and in the Antarctic region and in the Arctic region. So it was a very, from kind of the geographical point of view, it was very interesting and rewarding to be paired with Punta Arenas. And these, as you can see here on the screen, were the cooperation activities, not or objectives, not the ones maybe that we defined in the beginning, but these were the ones that turned out in the end, which is part of why these kinds of exchanges are so interesting, because you kind of have an idea from the beginning of what you want to work on, and then you learn more about each other and you find out that, wow, but you have like this really interesting work on this topic. We want to dig deeper into this. So this is kind of what we turned, how it turned out in the end. But gender equality, I'm the gender equality officer of the municipality of Umeå, and that's a topic that we've been working on for decades. So that was part of our cooperation objectives, and also working with carbon neutrality and how to create a carbon neutrality strategy. That's something that we work on in both the cities, and also citizen participation. Those were kind of the three objectives that we defined in the end. And then also kind of transversally, we had the topic of sustainable mobility, and also kind of the transversal topic of the specific kind of climatic and the climatic context that our geographical locations present to us. So if you see in my background, for example, you can see sustainable mobility, winter cycling, for example. That was a topic that we talked a lot about with our friends in Punta Arenas. And I'm just gonna like go through really quickly what we did with these topics, so we have some time to chat in the end. But the first objective, which was gender equality, well, we had some technical sessions, some learning seminars about that. We also, during the study visit in Umeå, we also did a tour of what we call the gendered landscape of Umeå, which is kind of a guided tour talking about gender equality issues and showing some good examples of how we worked with that in urban planning. And then when we went to Punta Arenas, we also had a workshop with together with a university conference called Access. It's a university exchange, and they had their international conference in Punta Arenas at the same time as we were there. So we had the chance to have some exchange with them, and also to look at how that works in Chile. We also had exchange with regional authorities on gender equality there. I'm just going to jump to the next one, which was about carbon neutrality strategies. There we had a lot of knowledge exchange on how we worked with this in our respective cities, what kind of data we have. It was kind of a very technical subject in terms of like, how do we collect the data? How do we measure carbon emissions? And how can we work with that within the municipality as an organization and with the municipality as a geographical space? And we also did some study visits at different to look at different installations, buildings, and things like that, including in both cities, the universities, because Umeå has a large regional university, and in Punta Arenas you have Universidad de Magallanes, which is also a large university. So those were important collaborators. And the last one was the citizen dialogue topic, and there we also had study visits in both cities on this topic to see kind of examples of how we worked with kind of innovative methods for citizen participation. And then in Punta Arenas, we visited a neighborhood where they have worked with this national Chilean program called Quiero Mi Barrio, so which was really, really inspirational. It was super interesting, and so then after the study visit, we also had a digital learning seminar with kind of the national coordinators for this program, Quiero Mi Barrio. So that was super interesting. So that was just a really quick overview of the overall topics. And if you want to read more, you can read it in this case study, which is on the IURC webpage. And I think that some of the kind of results or future steps, we had a really good knowledge exchange on these topics. So we learned a lot from Punta Arenas, and I hope they also feel, as far as I know, they also feel that they've learned a lot from our experience. And I wanted to kind of highlight the last point here, that one of the things that we see kind of for the future was also that besides kind of the connection and the network that we made between our cities, we also try to connect our universities, because we both have large universities in our cities. They are a really important collaboration partner for us as a municipality. The knowledge produced at the municipality and the collaboration we have with researchers is really important to develop our work. And our university has a Center for Arctic Studies, and the Magallanes University has a Center for Antarctic Studies. So we see that there's a lot of kind of potential synergy effects there as well. And we've also tried to kind of match them up with each other. And we think that's kind of a secondary effect for us as municipalities, but we also think that it's a kind of important trickle down effects can come back to us from that. And this is one of our outputs besides the case studies, a fact sheet. As I mentioned, one of our topics of collaboration was gender equality in urban planning. So we produced this fact sheet that you can also find on the IURC website. So I'm just going to move on so we can talk. And I swear that I didn't change this when I heard the other presentations, but I also wanted to kind of say that thinking outside the box, as has already been mentioned of all my previous speakers, is really one of the important takeaways from the IURC program, because we have a lot of international collaboration, mainly with other cities in the European Union. And the really beautiful thing about the IURC program is also to be able to exchange with cities and urban practitioners in completely different kind of political and also to some extent cultural contexts. And that really allows us to think outside the box, because you see, because we're used to solving things in a certain way because of how our administrative and political structure works, and then you see how another city has solved it in a completely different way, and it really gives you kind of like a wow, you can do it this way as well. And I would also say, like, kind of to expect the unexpected. You never know, like you have an idea in the beginning of what you're going to learn and what you're going to work on, and then you discover new things along the way. And that's really beautiful with the flexibility of the IURC program. And also because contexts are so different, I think it's important to kind of keep with us that it's you get inspiration. You can't really get like copy paste solutions that you can just kind of implement, but you can really get good inspiration that you can adapt to your context. And also I wanted to like show this, include this photo, because I think that also a really important part is that you get really good friends and you have fun together. And that's not something to underestimate. That's really also valuable for the learning and exchange process. So that was it for me. I hope there's some minutes left to talk. I'll just stop this.
Thank you, Annika. Don't make me emotional. I told Aureli and Aime yesterday that if people make me emotional, they just need to interrupt the webinar. Close it down. Yes, I want to emphasize the point of friendship. I think it's underrated. It cannot be emphasized enough. I think I always say that this is a program made by people, and the friendship is the key that will allow the cities and regions to continue their work well beyond the program. People move around between different departments to get another job, but the connections remain. And I think the friendships, it's a very important component of the cooperation. Also want to emphasize a point that was not mentioned before, the outside the box point.
Yes. But nobody else said.
No, nobody else thought.
Yes. Completely outside the box comment.
Yes.
Nobody had thought of that.
No. We're the only one. I think we all agree on that. The program puts you in a position to see different contexts, like we tried, of course, to match cities with common challenges or context, but at the end of the day, they tend to be very different. And what you see when you were paired with a city like Punta Arenas, you see things being done in a very different way. And a word that I found across your presentation several times, inspiration. So hopefully, yes, the program was inspiring and allowed you to see things with a different view, a different context. Also want to congratulate the efforts for connecting with the different universities, and I hope that materialized, and that there are many common scientific even research that could be done by the universities. And also want to congratulate the parent for putting all this knowledge exchange into takeaways, into products that could be shared with a wider network. And to answer Nicola, yes, the knowledge library will be available through Portico. I think we also mentioned that in the final newsletter. We have about like 5 to 7 minutes before we end the webinar. I just want to get back to Aline because I promised her that we'll get back to her. So just and then we get back to you, Annika, because I have also many questions for you. And then if there is enough time, one for Pablo, because also just I made one to Alberto already. So Aline, you mentioned that Sao Paulo and Milan have been working together for 60 years now. So I just wanted to briefly comment on what was different in IURC Latin America from all the different international cooperation programs and what we could do better in that sense.
Bom, vou falar de uma perspectiva de alguém que está há pouco tempo aqui em São Paulo e não sou original de São Paulo, não nasci aqui. Mas pelo que eu percebi nesse pouco tempo que eu tive oportunidade de engajar dentro do projeto, acho que aquela máxima que acho que todo mundo sente, mas não fala muito. Como a gente tem uma carga de trabalho muito grande, pelo menos na parte de relações internacionais, e normalmente com poucas pessoas. Então, eu acho que o que eu senti de diferente foi como o projeto, o programa, né? Ele vem para assim, vamos sentar na mesa amanhã todo mundo? Sim, vamos. E você continua no planejamento que você tem que continuar engajado, você tem que participar das reuniões, você tem que participar dos eventos. E isso, para nível técnico, a gente sabe que é um pouco difícil, né? Combinar todas as agendas, esse desafio de trazer diversas secretarias junto, porque na área internacional a gente vive essa cooperação com o Milão todos os dias, a gente interage muito, mas as outras secretarias, e outros departamentos, eles não têm essa vivência que a gente tem aqui. Então, a gente faz muitos eventos políticos, encontro de autoridades, mas assim, foi diferente trazer todos esses atores técnicos de diversas áreas para conversar junto, uma vez por mês, ir para eventos, conhecer todo mundo, pessoalmente, porque, né, hoje em dia a gente está muito virtual, então, e a gente perdeu um pouco desse tato humano, e aí foi o que o pessoal trouxe aqui das amizades, dos contatos, que são muito importantes. Então, eu, em pouco tempo aqui, já tenho um carinho enorme pelo Francesco, que está aqui, pela Miriam, que estava com a gente na última missão na Bélgica e na Espanha, com o Gianfranco. Então, a gente já cria um vínculo, já se manda mensagem no WhatsApp, como se fossem amigos. Então, assim, eu acho que isso deu um ar diferente para o tom que a gente lidava com esse irmanamento, assim. Então, dá um toque mais pessoal, um toque mais de amizade, mais de proximidade, para além da parte de relações internacionais que é muito... que um pouco nível de autoridade, toda aquela parte cerimonial, então deu uma quebrada nesse sentido, assim, até por São Paulo ter uma relação muito forte com os consulados e as embaixadas aqui no Brasil, é um outro tipo de relação, né? Então, eu acho que isso foi muito bom, assim. De questão eu acho que não tenho muito o que falar sobre melhorar, né, sobre o projeto. Eu acho que fica sentimento triste de que acabou, que a gente com certeza queria que continuasse, e achava que talvez mais uns 2 anos de cooperação aí a gente teria uma amostra de resultado muito maior do que a gente já mostrou, que já foi muito importante, já foi muito significativo. E acho que é isso, assim, eu não tenho críticas para fazer, desculpas, mas gostaria que continuasse, com certeza queria continuar trabalhando com vocês.
Thank you. I know it's a perfect project. I know. Just I want to emphasize the what you mentioned about the human touch, which connects to the importance of friendship. I think for everyone who has participated in our study visits or networking events, they know that for us, the building rapport, building friendships is a very important component for the program. I want to get back to Annika. A quick question. You mentioned that you were working on with Punta Arenas on gender equity guidelines for public spaces. I just wanted for you to comment quickly how effective the study visits were to make these new guidelines more receptive for the Punta Arenas team, and if there is any recommendation you would give to other cities who would like to implement. And for you who are interested, you can also look at the knowledge library to find those guidelines. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe Punta Arenas would be even better to answer this question. But I think it was a valuable input towards their work. We had the study visit first in Umeå, so we got to kind of give some good examples and show how we have done it. And then the second study visit was in Punta Arenas, and there we had the possibility to kind of have a dialogue and exchange with also the specific person who was working on parks design, because they had an ongoing project at that time of like planning and designing some parks refurbishment. So we got to have like a very concrete exchange on that specific topics and on like a specific spaces that were under design. So it was a really good way of kind of as like giving input to not just like kind of a general checklist, like think about this, but like to a specific project. And I think that was really, really useful. And I hope the guidelines are useful for other cities as well. It has kind of basically two key things, actually. It only has, I can't, there, it disappeared when I tried to show it. But it has basically two things. It has data is really important to have, like to know what the reality is, gender segregated data, and asking critical questions about what's the problem, if we implement this solution or the other solution, whose lives will be made easier, who does this matter to, etc. And then you have also some examples of how we've done it in Umeå. So I hope they're kind of a good start.
Of course they are. And it's important to note that you involve or engage the person responsible for the design of public spaces in this process. So you got to the right person. Pablo, I just want to give you 30 seconds before we give the conclusions of the webinar, just to comment a little bit on Blue Economy and invite other cities who might want to join in the future.
Yeah, the Blue Economy Cluster, as I already mentioned, is not an idea that it's only for us. There are different cities that have been working with this Blue Economy Cluster idea. And basically, the idea is to pool knowledge which is produced by cities which sit by coastal areas and on sustainable development in regards to maritime resources and coastal areas. So it's very interesting if any city which has these characteristics wants to maybe join our cluster, just like Málaga and Barranquilla worked in a cluster. It would be interesting for us to also be able to include more cities in our knowledge cluster. We don't have a governance model yet in which we could say, join us in this way or the other, but I'm going to leave my contact written here in the chat. So any city and any participant can maybe access our documents and of course join, because getting knowledge about the coastal areas and their very important role in a sustainable development pathway, I believe is very important for the, not only for us in the city, but for the whole world, because we are, as everyone knows, 3/4 blue.
Great, Pablo. And if you saw Alberto's presentation, you noticed that Ancona and Malaga will be working on blue economy and port activities. And I visited Ancona. It was one of the pairings I managed, and they had a huge urban regeneration process across the port area. So get in touch with Alberto and Ancona.
Yeah.
I can share his phone number or email address if you don't have it already.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we already met
so,
Alberto.
Yes.
So we have the possibility to continue speaking. So thank you, Edgardo. It's a very good idea, actually.
Yes. The bigger the better. So it's we wish you a great success in the construction of this new blue economy cluster. So let's we are falling behind. I know there are in the present some great cities like Fortaleza and Essen or Parma and Mérida. I wanted to also give them time to speak out and showcase, but unfortunately we're running out of time. But we invite everyone who wants to know more about the work of some of the success stories, some of our cities. Please go to the Knowledge Library in IURC Latin America, and you can read a little bit, a bit more about their best practices. So just to wrap up the webinar, I just want to say that the goal of today's webinar was to provide an overview of some of the best practices for knowledge sharing, the city cooperation component of IURC Latin America. Last week, we had one event which focused on the regional component. And as we saw today, sharing best practices can be a powerful tool to accelerate the implementation of policies at the local level and support sustainability, the EU agenda, and the Green Deal. It helps you to think outside the box. So I have to rewrite my conclusions for the final report of IURC. Programs like IURC Latin America provide a platform for international collaboration and multi-stakeholder engagement, as we saw during the presentation. The pairing have been successful in involving universities and external stakeholders. The program supports the knowledge exchange and policy transfer to put knowledge into actions. That's also one of the goals of the program. But doing this also requires a strong political commitment, also time commitment from the technical teams, patience, openness to new ideas, to be inspired, as Annika mentioned, and willingness to innovate, as shown by our delegates today. Finally, I would like to thank our panelists today and all the cities who join us in this amazing journey that ends today, but hopefully we continue in a new phase in the future. We cannot underestimate the commitment and generosity of all the delegates who participated in study visits, networking events, and webinars like today, as well as all the different stakeholders who decided to join forces to create a more sustainable cities. I also would like to thank the European Union, who provided the financial and institutional support to make this program happen. I also want to thank the amazing team we had at IURC Latin America, Trisha, who is here today, Aurelie, who was instrumental, all the project managers like Waldo, Jorge Leonel, Paola, Camila, Eloisa at the beginning of the program, Aimee, and Ariana, who provided administrative support. So big thank you to everyone in the IURC program. I think everyone can say that we were very effective in organizing all the in-person activities, and we hope you met your expectations and you found these activities really helpful for your cities. And finally, I want to thank the audience today for your attention and participation. For me, it's been a pleasure to lead this program for the last 3 years, and today to share all the lessons learned of this really amazing program. So thank you on my part, and it's been an honor to serve you.
I get to say thank you to you, Edgardo, for leading the charge and steering the ship. And you've been a wonderful team leader and very effective. And you've made sure that we've eaten very well in every city that we were in. So thank you for that. And to everybody, great to see you. always.
Food and wine. Ronnie, thank you, Ronnie. It's been great to have you all supporting, participating in so many webinars with us and being there in the annual events in Brussels. Ronnie, you have been, people say you're the grandfather of IURC, so I really want to, thank you for this long-standing support of the program.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz
Happy
Navidad.
holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you
everyone.
again
Thank
soon.
you.
End of
Bye.
year.
Really wonderful meeting you
Hello,
all.
Antonio. Happy holidays, Antonio. Wonderful.
Happy holidays. See
Alfredo.
you.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.